This is Jasmine with Listen to Your Single Friend. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the lonely. Hi friends, welcome back to the show. This is Jasmine Caress. This week we are going to be keeping it real about repeat offenders, basically the men that we just need to leave alone. Quick side note, by the time this show airs, it will be the eve of Christmas Eve. I absolutely love this week because I feel like everybody's just a little bit kinder and a little bit gentler, with the energy that they put out into the world. We're all just trying to have a good Christmas week. And I just really, really love this week. But as I addressed, in episode 3, surviving the holidays while single, it can be hard. So if you need a pick me up, please go back and listen to that episode. And also, just word to the wise, please don't listen to What Do the Lonely Do at Christmas. That's just not the vibe this week. So I'm just speaking from experience. Don't listen to that song right now. But just be kind to yourself this week, whatever that looks like for you. Let's keep the conversation going. This is Instagram and Facebook. Listen to Your Single Friend. Twitter is Your Single Friend. Friend is FRND. I'm getting more consistent with the Twitter feed, so please follow Your Single FRND. Make sure to tune into our accounts on Fridays for Screenshot Friday because it's lit. And last week just was crazy. Every weekend is crazy. So Screenshot Friday is super, super fun. We're super interactive, especially on the Instagram page at Listen to Your Single Friend. As you know, Listen to Your Single Friend is also a book. So make sure to sign up for the book mailing list so you can be the first to get information on release dates, pre-orders, etc. Go to the website, listentoyoursinglefriend.com. We also have a YouTube channel, so please subscribe to the channel. Even if that's not your listening platform, just run my subscriptions up. Before we get into the show, let's run it back to trivia from last week. So the question was, from which groups do singles feel the most pressure to find a partner? Is it A, their friends, B, family members, C, society, or D, coworkers? So the answer is actually society. It was only ahead by 1%. Above family. Family was a super close second. I think everybody would assume that it's family members, but it's actually society. And I really like this question because my entire purpose here is just kind of like a big fuck you to society, viewing singleness in totality as something that's negative. Society always feels you need to be what makes me feel comfortable. And I've said this before, a lot of people are uncomfortable with the idea of singleness. They know that they themselves wouldn't be happy if they were single. So how dare you be out here in these streets happy? So I really, really like this question because it's actually not who you think it is. Family members were super, super close. And yes, there's a lot of pressure that comes from them. But a lot of times we just feel some type of way because of societal pressure. So fuck society, do what you want to do, okay? But I really like that question because the answer wasn't what you thought it was. But let's get into the show. Now it's time for our word of the day. Per usual, I'm going to start you off with some positive vibes. The quote of the day this week is, "You'll be amazed at what you start to attract after you start believing in what you truly deserve." So I have actually been reading the 4 Agreements. So I'm super into my law of attraction bag right now. I just feel like often we say what we want, but we don't believe it 100%. There are certain things that you just have to accept as fact at this point. You believe you're beautiful, but do you know that you're beautiful? You know what I mean? You say that you want, all that life and love has to deserve, but do you honestly, truly believe that? You are a wonderful being. You do deserve the best that the world has to offer. And you're not asking for too much in your love life, but you have to truly believe it with unwavering like faith. So I really, really enjoyed that quote because, once you start believing, I mean, this is just, a fact. It's a fact that I'm going to find the partner that I seek. It's a fact that I'm going to give the love or get the love in the life that I deserve. So all this to say, basically, we think about things and we ponder on things, but truly, honestly, just have unwavering faith and, what you want and what you deserve. Like, truly start to believe it. So, that is your quote of the day. All right, now it's time for Ghosts and Goofies. During this segment, I talk about anything I have seen on Beyonce's internet, anything that has gone viral, memes, tweets, celebrity news, whatever the case may be. So this week, I promised you guys 2 goals because last week it was just some fuck shit and all I had was Goofies last week. So this week, I promised you guys at least 2 goals. So the first goal is a tweet that went viral, and it says, "Somebody's boyfriend reached out to me today and paid for his girlfriend's full branding suite for 2021 in full. Website, social media revamp, the whole nine. His Christmas gift to her was a full branding package for her new business. I will never settle, period." So the lady that posted it, I guess she was like a branding strategist, and some girl's boyfriend like just decided, I'm gonna pull up on my girl and I'm gonna make sure she's situated for all of 2021. Now, as a woman who owns 2 businesses at this point, my jaw was on the floor. I'm like, this is absolute fucking goals. Like, listen, having a business cost. And a lot of times when you're a creative, like, there's just certain things that you're good at. Like, I know, like, when I get to that point, I'm definitely paying for somebody to do my social media. I'm definitely paying somebody to do my website. Right now, it's so baby stages, and I just, want to be really hands on. But websites and social media is just not my ministry because I'm a creative. So the fact that this man decided that he was going to go and make sure his girlfriend was situated for 2021, oh my God, like that, it was just beautiful. It was just absolutely beautiful. And shout out to sis. Like, I hope she has a great, successful business and a successful 2021. Is she about to have the new branding, the new swag, new website, the whole nine. And shout out to her man for just like, I love a thoughtful gift. Like, I just love a thoughtful gift. So I just thought that this was just extremely thoughtful. And he basically invested in her. Like, invest in your bae. So that's one of your goals for the week. Like, I just thought this was the cutest thing. Now, your other goals this week. The other ghost this week is Calvin and Roshunda Russell. So these two own this is a Black-owned real estate brokerage who helps families qualify for home ownership. So it's called Park Place Real Estate Group, LLC. So basically, they were self-taught and they bought their first property at the age of 25. So they started out together consulting on credit, and they've been credit specialists and real estate investors since 2012. They are Illinois based, and they describe themselves as a Black-owned, family-focused firm where our goal is to serve as your guide down the avenue of home ownership, says Roshunda. She said, whether it is when you begin to search for your new home or when you receive those keys, we will be there with you every step of the way. This is just so fire to me. You see, what is it with me and themes? Last week I had a theme. This week I had a theme. Like, I think the theme is like business-minded bays. Like Calvin and Roshunda were like, we're doing this thing and they're doing this thing together. Like, I love it. I love how their emphasis is on, investing in real estate, but they also want to help other families qualify. So, like, the value alignment and all of that, I think is just absolutely beautiful. And they're helping other families. And it's a Black-owned business. It's a Black couple. Everything about this was just so beautiful to me. And even like the last goals, like I said, it's just almost a theme of like couples being financially focused, but in a way that's fulfilling to themselves and fulfilling to their partners, and, just bettering themselves and helping other people. So I just love this. Like, I just absolutely love this, that their focus is this and they're doing it together. Like, I've met people who like work with their spouses, and I'm like, oh my God, don't you guys want to kill each other sometimes? And I'm certain that it is hard for them. But this is absolutely goals because, they are focused on, helping out other people. And this is clearly something that is a value for them. So that's your goals of the week, guys. Now it's time for Goofies. So, I'm going to just give a disclaimer. I personally don't like all this like ratchet, I call it ratchet TV, basically like Real Housewives of whatever. Like, I don't like none of that. Like, grown ass women fighting and carrying on and just acting like a hot mess. Like, I don't like that stuff. However, there was a video clip that went viral last week, and I just had to address it. So, Drew Sidora, you probably know her from the game, in which we absolutely hated her on the game because she messed up Melanie and Derwin or whatever. Well, Derwin was trash, so Derwin cheated on Melanie. So we won't solely blame Drew, but Drew didn't know that he was in a relationship on the show. So she played herself on the show. She played, Drew Sidora on the show. But Drew Sidora in real life has been married to her husband for 6 years, and she is the newest cast member of Real Housewives of Atlanta. So her husband basically, on their first, this was on episode 2, um, just does some absolute fuck shit. So I don't watch this, but since it was only episode 2 of the new season, I was like, let me watch for full context. And I'm glad that I did. It doesn't change the way I feel about this situation, but I'm glad that I did end up watching, the whole thing instead of just the clip. So Drew's husband goes and meets with Cynthia's fiance, now husband. I think Cynthia's dude's name is Mike. And he's basically talking to Mike and is like, and please don't kill me, Real Housewives people. Like I said, I don't watch this shit, so work with me here. But I think Cynthia's dude's name is Mike. So Drew's husband, whose name I can't recall right now, goes and talks to Mike, and they're just shooting the shit or whatever. And he's just like, yeah, man, sometimes I just need my space. Like, sometimes I just need, to do my own thing and, to recharge, basically. So that's the context that I got when I watched the full episode, which I'm happy to have gotten that context. However, the clip that went viral was Drew and her husband basically celebrating their 6-year anniversary, and he asked her, what are some things, something like, what, give me feedback, what are some things we can work on? He said something to that effect. And she's like, well, I don't like, like how you just up and leave. So allegedly a week before, or a week or two before this filming, he went and just left the house for 3 days. She said that she came to his office and knocked on the door, and he wasn't there. And she's wandering the house looking for him, and he's not there. And so she hits him up, and his defense is like, well, I never not responded to your messages. But she didn't know where he was for 3 days. And she's like, I'm your wife. In what world do you leave your house, Like, I'm not, if she says, I'm not like clocking you, I'm not like, she says that she's not a where you at, where you going, who you gonna be with type of person. But she's like, you left for 3 days and I still to this day don't know where you were. And his response, wait for it. His response is, you don't know how hard it is to be a Black man. And I'm like, oh, hell no. You are not about to sit up here and gaslight this woman. Like, you can tell Cynthia's husband about, or, well, now husband, you could tell Cynthia's dude about how sometimes you need space. And he did say, Drew's mom lives with them right now due to the fact that Drew is injured and it's, the Rona or whatever. So they're using that extra help, which is great. But I was just like, you being a Black man and you having your own issues has nothing to do with you completely like running away from your house and your wife not knowing where you are. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, and then the fact that you're all, you don't understand. Like, I just don't like, it was just, it was so disgusting. Like, you're a grown ass man. If Drew had left her house and not told you where she was, you would have had a fit, like a complete fit. So don't sit up here and act like what you're doing is normal. What I think is happening is he expressed to Mike his frustration about the mother-in-law and how him and his mother-in-law get into it, him and Drew's mom. And he said verbatim that Drew actually said, I can't remember her husband's name, but Drew said her husband and her mom go at it. And sometimes she's just kind of in the middle. And my thing is, like, I think that her husband feels, I'm not defending him, but I think that he feels frustrated by the fact that there's all this drama and there's this discord in his household right now due to Drew. She tore her ACL, so she needs extra help. And, her mom's there during COVID, but, him and the mom definitely go at it. And I think that he feels frustrated with Drew because Drew herself says she's just in the middle of it. And so, it's kind of like when Solange beat up Jay-Z on the elevator and Beyonce didn't do nothing. And it's like, you're not going to step in and like tell your sister to chill and tell your husband to back off. You know what I mean? So I think that he probably feels frustrated by what's going on in his household. I don't even think he's cheating. And one of my guy friends said that. And at first I was like, oh, no, he's horrible. But as I got more context, I'm like, I don't even think he's cheating. I think he's doing this because he's an asshole and he's just trying to get back at his wife. Like, I think that's some bullshit. Communicate with your wife and let her know, hey, your mom comes at me and you don't do anything to defend me, or you don't insert yourself in a situation. And I'm sure Drew doesn't want to play like referee between these two grown ass people. You know what I mean? But you, as the husband and as the man and as the leader in the household, he may feel uncomfortable, but for you to just fucking leave, like, it has to be cracked. Because I don't know in what world like this is okay. Like, and it's like, I know how some men will try to create situations because they're trying to break up, or they're trying to, like some men are just weak, and some of them will just create an environment where you're forced to break up with them, or you're forced, they manipulate a situation so you can be fed up. And I think that's weak sauce, and I think that's absolute garbage. If you as a grown man are trying to dissolve your marriage, or you're trying to break up, then go. But like, excuse me, like, don't sit up here and create situations that cause drama. Why are you causing further discord in your household? Like, why are you manipulating the situation? I understand his feelings for needing space. And if it is true that the mother-in-law is really the source of him needing to go, get away, that's cool. But stop fucking gaslighting your wife and stop trying to piss her off on purpose. That's just absolute bullshit. Like, I ain't married, but my petty would have had to come out then at this point. Because you want to disappear for 3 days? Cool. You ain't going to hear from me for 2 weeks. You feed them kids. You take care of this house. But this is why I'm single, and this is why this show is about the single life, because I don't know. I don't have to be married to know that what he was doing is just horrible. This is just absolute goofy shit. And I haven't watched the. I'm trying not to get sucked in, but I'm getting a little sucked in because I want to see what happens next. But I just think that it's just crazy that he just decided he's gonna up and leave. And then in the conversation, she's like, "Where did you go?" She's like, "I still to this day." He was like, "That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter." And she's like, "Did you leave the state of Georgia?" And he said, "Yes." Y'all. Not only did he leave the house for 3 days, he left the state. He was like, "Well, I went to the beach." Who beach you go to? And like Drew, I was on the same wavelength. She was like, there are plenty of beaches around here. What beach did you go to? So I guess he like went to like Florida or some shit. I was just like, you got me all the way fucked up. Like she wasn't, I mean, she did end up getting angry and walking away or whatever, but I'm like, nah, this is some goofy shit. I think he's just trying to piss her off. And, I just don't understand why you acting like a little ass kid. Y'all been married for 6 years. Talk this shit out. I'm feeling this way. This makes me uncomfortable. But the fact that you're literally going to run out your house and like she said, what if something happened? I needed to reach you. She was like, well, he was like, well, I responded to all your messages. But she's like, no, what if something happened? And he just doesn't understand. Like and I don't even think he's a grown ass man. He absolutely understands. Like I said, I think he's just doing this on purpose just to piss her off. And I think this is some absolute bullshit. So Goofies of this week is Juiceadora's husband, whose name I can't remember. So sorry, y'all. But Juiceadora's husband, you suck. Like, don't be doing this shit. Don't be manipulative. Like, keep it 100 with your wife, just like you can keep it 100 with Mike and talk to other people about how you're feeling. So that is Goofies of this week. All right, guys, let's get into our main segment. Oh, by the way, Juiceadora's his name was Ralph. It was gonna drive me insane because I could not remember what his name was. But yeah, her husband's name was Ralph. So let's get into our main segment. Next week I'm gonna be talking all things New Year's positive vibes. But first, we need to let some baggage go. Like, y'all already know what I'm talking about. The rebounder, the repeat offender, the bench warmer, whatever the hell you want to call it. Let's talk about the men that we keep in rotation just because we're bored, we're lonely, we're horny, not hungry. Well, yeah, you're hungry. That could be a reason he's in rotation too. But you're hungry, you're horny, you just want attention. Whatever the reasoning, you have no problem popping back up on this dude's line or answering his lazy ass text messages trying to reconnect. Like, and there's gonna be plenty of those this week. I do want to start off with differentiating that this is not a guy that like you're actively in a relationship with. Like, it's more so the guy that you have dated off and on or hooked up with a few times, or somebody that you just flirt with consistently, inconsistently. So the point is, like, this guy has been a revolving door over and over in your life, and I'm here to say it's time to close that damn door for good. It is time to leave that man alone. This situation is like so easy to spot because there's literally no progression. Like, it's a guy that you just keep rebounding over and over. You get into a relationship with, and then you go back to him when it's over. Like, he's low key Mr. Right now, but really Mr. Right whenever the fuck I feel like it. So I kind of call this like the safety net guy or your fallback guy, which I'll kind of use interchangeably. Like, when all else fails, you just go back to him. Like, and don't be mistaken, there is typically an emotional investment with this guy, but for the purposes of this episode, I'm just deducing these guys to that name. And I myself, I've had 3 safety net guys in the last, I say, decade. So like, I'm actually very much speaking from experience. I used to tell people often, very often, I could be married by now if I wanted to. And it was true. Like, I had an ex that I ran back to for years. One of my exes was my fallback guy. And whenever things didn't work out, with somebody, I'm like, well, my ex loves me and he cares about me. So, I'm going to go back and talk to him. I'm going to go back to see what he's doing. Like, this definitely is going to sound like some asshole shit. And it is. But it just filled me up, like, knowing that, okay, things didn't work out with the guy that I wanted, but there's a man who's going to and who has accepted me, and I just said that whole I could be married by now if I wanted to line so many times, because it made me feel good, even though I knew damn well that me and that guy were not equally yoked. And I knew it for a long time, but just, in a societal lens, back to the trivia earlier today, it was just like, I'm not single because I don't have options. I was just trying to make it clear to people, like, I have options. Men want me. Like, I'm valuable, like, I felt validated by the fact that I knew that somebody out there wanted me. And I had to make sure that people knew, like, listen, I got hoes. Okay. I don't actively have hoes right now, but at the time, I was like, okay, I got hoes. And honestly, it was true. You know what I mean? Like, it was somebody that I kept going back to when we kept trying to make it work. We did keep trying to make it work. It feels good to be seen. And I do not underestimate that feeling. So, if it's one thing that I'm going to be honest that I'm looking forward to in a romantic partnership, that is being seen. Like, somebody that gets me, not because they're my family or my chosen family, my friends, but because they're actually interested in me, like my dreams, my thoughts, just someone who's invested in me. You know what I mean? Um, and for like my long-term fallback guy, we knew each other for so many years and I was so comfortable. I was at a comfort level that I still have yet to reach with another man, just because it's never gone that far for that long. But right beneath that level of comfort was complacency. So, there were some very obvious misalignments in that relationship. I felt like our ambition levels didn't match. Educationally, we didn't match. Like, I felt like he was a good person, but he wasn't the person for me. But in my mind at the time, I'm like, who cares? He's always there. He's always there for me. You know what I mean? And when he was single, he was always there for my consumption. He was mine for the taking. And he saw me, y'all. And I like being seen. Like, I like being seen. So, like, I'm not talking about this because like I'm a jerk or I'm an asshole. You know what I mean? It just felt good knowing that somebody had my back always, even though I knew in my heart of hearts, like, this isn't gonna, work out long term. When things weren't going well with somebody else, it was like, yeah, yep, let me go back to my old boo. And I had to, reconcile with myself. Just because he was the only person who saw me doesn't mean he is or will be the only one who ever would. When you're in a situation like me and it's like, well, I haven't gotten to that point with another man. It hasn't gotten back to that level. Um, it is hard to justify. And so of course you want to, it's so hard starting over, and it's so hard, like, dating and going all the way back over and what's your favorite color and what's the dynamic with your family. And when you have somebody who already knows you in so many ways, they know your family dynamic, they know exactly what you get into it with about your siblings, exactly what your childhood traumas are, they know exactly where to touch you and how. Like, when somebody knows you like that, it's so frustrating to have to start over. So you're going to go back to that person who gets it. You know what I mean? But that's something that we as women, we do often. Like, we don't think we can do better. Meanwhile, men are always looking for better, like, even when they're in relationships. So it's just a thing. Women don't feel like they can do better, so they'll latch on to a specific guy or a specific mindset. And men are always like, I mean, she's great, but wonder what else is out there. We get a guy that works for us, but we know that's not who we want, and like we tend to settle. And some women will end up dating Mr. Safety Net and committing to him because they were settling. But like, don't be that person. Like, that's weak shit. And I feel like I said, we do that because we feel like, "Ugh, I'm just so fucking tired of dating. Like, I'm tired of these apps. I'm tired of these men not, being honest. I'm just tired. You know what I mean? We just kind of tap out of the game. And it's just like, this guy is here, and I know that we're going to have certain issues, but I got somebody. You know what I mean? And it feels good to do that. But don't settle, because that shit is whack, and ultimately you're not going to end up happy. Like, in my long-term fallback situation, like, I knew, like, even if we were to get married, I knew after a couple years I was going to be so unhappy because he just was not the person that I wanted. Like, it just wasn't there on that level of long-term partnership, and I knew I would have been settling. So, and it took me, and even when I got to that point, it still took me several years to call it off with him, because it's good knowing that if I fall, somebody's going to be there to pick me up. If things don't go well with the guy I've been seeing for the last few months, somebody's gonna be there. Somebody's gonna be there to tell me that I'm cute and tell me that they care about me, you know? Um, and I had to call it off with my long-term safety net guy, because like, even after all those years realizing that I would have been settling, like, I finally just accepted that he wasn't the one for me. And it was hard ripping off that band-aid. Like, it was just really, really hard, because it's like, now I ain't got no hoes. You know what I mean? Like, now, we when you got a roster, you're constantly changing that. You know what I mean? But when you got a fallback guy, it's like, I don't care what y'all got going on. At the end of the day, I always got somebody that, is gonna be around. But I just had to finally like stop wasting his time and stop wasting my own time. But it just took me a really, really long time. And some of you guys are gonna be like, dang, that sounds kind of selfish. But selfish, or dating is selfish as fuck. Like, and I actually think that this is something that men do a lot better than women. They put themselves and their feelings in the forefront. Like, but dating is very, very selfish. And when you're single, all you have is to think about yourself. And when you have certain needs like that need to be met, and that safety net guy, that fallback guy, he just sent a fire reaction to your fire ass Insta story. It's just really, really easy to fall back into these same old cycles, you know? And like, let's kind of break down the root of this. Like, let's go back into, why this happens. Sometimes the root is rejection. Like I said, you dated somebody, it didn't work out, back to the old guy. Um, you just need some affirmation that, you know what, I am hot and I am interesting. And that validation becomes a drug. And the fallback guy is absolutely your dealer. He's a friend, a flirt, a cheerleader, an orgasm. He all of that. He with the shits. Okay. And like I said, he is just there for the taking. But when you're dealing with someone and it didn't work out, like, you still not addressed your rejection and the true root of the issue. So you're just going back to that fallback guy just to fill a void. And then on the flip side, sometimes we're just bored. You ain't got nobody on the roster, no new prospects. It's the end of the year, it's the holidays, like, you ain't got nothing going on. So it's like, let me just see what this fool is up to. You know what I mean? No, 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 no. That is not cool. Going back to somebody, I just had a conversation with a guy on one of the apps yesterday about this. Like, dating out of boredom is not fair to other people. Like, it at all. Like, I'm here for you. If you're dating for something specific, I want partnership, I want sex, I want companionship, I want this, I want that. That's cool. But dating out of boredom is not cool at all. So, but that's one of the reasons that, sometimes we are bored. I ain't got nothing else going on. Let me see what he's talking about. And then obviously one of the bigger ones, is you're just lonely. And that is a word that, in the single community, we don't like to talk about this. That lonely word. I think that people throw lonely around so fucking much towards single people when, as I just explained, like that's not always, why. That's not always a driving factor in the things we do. But I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that one of the main reasons we go to the fallback guy is because, we're lonely and, we want, that companionship and we want that partnership. And it's like, I don't have anybody else. And this person has shown in the past that, they're going to be responsive and communicative and you know what I mean? They're going to be in my space, even though there are glaring red flags or just a glaring lack of compatibility, but sometimes we're just lonely, and it be like that sometimes. But as I stated before, when is this going to end? Like, when does it stop? um I really think that in this situation, when you're thinking about, because like I'm sure when I started this segment, you immediately thought of the guys that it's like, yeah, I gotta stop fucking with this dude. Like, I really gotta, leave this alone. But then it's kind of like, well, how do I do this? You need to sit down and you need to take an honest look at yourself and your situation and figure out, like, am I just using this dude to fill a void? Or am I actually interested in making this become a thing? If it's the latter, it's time to shit or get off the pot. If you trying to make this a thing, you trying to make him be bae, like lay it out if that's how you feel. Express that you want to try for real and for good this time. This could be y'all fifth go round or your 20th, you know what I mean? But just let him know, like, look, we've been doing this back and forth. We do this every year around the holidays, or we do this every year around birthdays, or whatever the case may be. Like, are we doing this or are we not? Express that to him and try to make it work if that's what you want. If that's what it comes down to and you're deciding, I actually am interested, go ahead and try to make it work. But honestly, a lot of times this is usually a emotional roller coaster. It's just that. And that's why I say leave that man alone. Like, stop wasting your own time and stop wasting his time. Like, he's not taking you to the big leagues. He is just on the bench chilling and you and him are both okay with that. The biggest issue with this is the safety net guy is just taking up space emotionally, physically, mentally. Like, he is literally a placeholder. So, placeholder bait, if you will. You know that you don't see a future with him, but in the moment he scratches an itch, and like as I talked about this in episode 1, sometimes settling is self-care. But a repeat rebound is not the move. Like I said, when is this going to stop? It just took me so many years of having that safety net, having that fallback to just say, fuck it. Like, I would rather not have anyone than to keep going back to this man who was doing nothing for me or who I know is going nowhere with. Like, he's just filling space and filling a void. And it just got to that point where I just accepted that. But don't be fooled. Like, as much as asshole shit as this sounds, like, in some cases, he may want a future with you, but a lot of times he's using your ass too. So, Forever Bae, that you keep going back to, knows good and damn well he doesn't see the longevity either. Like, I've heard men, like, be in relationships or go back and forth with women, and it's just like, okay, so what you doing? Like, are y'all gonna get married? And they will straight up say, like, she cool for now, but I'm not gonna marry her. And I'll just be like, damn. Like, it is some harsh shit hearing a guy friend talk about the person he's in a relationship with, actively in a relationship with, and he don't see a future in that. But and that's just an extreme example for people in relationships. But when it comes to this, like, off and on bae, it's just kind of like sometimes the guys feel the same way that we do, and they do it for the same selfish reasons that we do as well. Like, he likes the sex. Men are humans. Men are human beings, and sometimes we forget that. Like, he likes the attention too, of course, the sex, having someone to support him. Like, and as I said before, he keep reaching out because you keep responding. he knows you will be a willing participant when you're single as well. Like, so, like in my situation, I definitely think that was how it was. I mean, I do think he cared about me, and I feel like if we didn't have some of the like compatibility issues that we did, I think that maybe he would have tried a little bit harder to make it be something. And we did try to make it be something. But ultimately, it was just kind of a thing that we fell back to where you're single, I'm single, let's do it. It was always something that we fell back on. But, definitely it's not always us. Sometimes it is them, running that part of it. Sometimes they're using us as well. So just as much as we're being selfish in dating and using this guy, sometimes the guy is absolutely doing that too. You're filling that void for him. Hey, call it an even exchange. However, that does not change the fact that you got to wrap it up. You know what I mean? Like it's time for you to move on and just kind of be done with that situation. Like I've had, one of my situations went on for damn near a decade. And actually most of my out of the three fallback guys, like a lot of them went on, for several years. So it's like sometimes we would like not be we might not talk for 6 months, like I might not hear anything from him for 6 months, but when we're on, we are on. And then when we're off, we are completely off. But that doesn't change the fact that it's not really going anywhere. So staying on some man's leash is just as bad as keeping him on yours. Like, and I felt like I was dating the thought, especially one of my fallback guys. I felt like I was dating the thought of him more than I was actually dating him when we were on. Um, I felt like he had the potential to be the man I wanted and the man that I dreamed about, but he just wasn't there yet. That was a part of the compatibility issue. And here's the thing. He may not have ever gotten there. So I'm saying in my mind, I'm like, well, he's just not there yet. Like, erase that. He's just not there. Like, potential means nothing. I have learned that I need to accept the man I date for who they are. At my big age, like, I just feel like people are who they are. And like, hoping this man changed year after year was so fucking pointless. I definitely, like I said, there were times where I'm like, I am trying and I want this to be a thing. To my point earlier, let's shit or get off the pot, like let's make it this a thing. And but I was really wasting my own time because he just was who he was. And over the years he grew as a person, like he definitely pursued more things educationally and with his employment and stuff like that. But ultimately he still was who he was, and I was just holding on to this notion that he was going to surprise me after the third year or after the fifth year or after the eighth. Like, I tried to make it work a few times full-fledged and it just did not. And like I was hurting myself because I'm just here getting used because I just wasn't accepting that this is just who he was, not who I wanted him to be, and that we just weren't going to work out. Like, and I romanticized it every time I went back year after year. Like, we stand a second act, okay? A cute meet story where, the couple, they met and they kept trying, but for whatever reason, the relationship just could not come to fruition. Um, but this isn't those dumbass rom-coms that I've been watching all week. I have been watching a lot of rom-coms this week. But this isn't the movies, guys. Like, we have to take a hard and honest look at our love life. Like, me and that guy were just not going to work out. Like, it's time to let go of some of that dead weight. And I just thought this is important. This was an important conversation to have right before, we kind of get into our discussions on the new year. Like, let this man be free to find the love he wants. And you need to make room for the love that you deserve. Like, I am always team date all of those men. Okay. I always am gonna tell you to go on that date and hang out with any guy, as many guys as you can. But like, you've already gotten to know this dude. It's just not going anywhere. Being in a holding pattern, it just gets so old after a while. Like, This is a merry-go-round and somebody has to get off the ride. Like in one of my cases, it wasn't even my choice. Like one of my cases, I explained it was my choice because it had gone on for damn near a decade. But in another situation, that wasn't my choice. He committed himself to another woman. He got in a relationship and I had to stand down and I felt like a dumbass. Like I keep coming back to you anytime I need you, anytime I need to fill that void. And you got a lot of nerve getting in a relationship. When that safety net isn't there anymore, it's super humbling and it definitely can hurt sometimes. Like, damn, the dude that I don't even want for real don't even want me right now. Like, but that was never for you in the first place. And it wasn't for me. Like, I deserve someone who's proactive in love and who's proactive in the attention and the care that they give to me. Like, not somebody that, I reconnect with every few months in the year. Men who are serious about you are not going to keep putting you back on the market. Let that sink in. I'm going to repeat it. Men who are serious about you are not going to keep putting you back on the market. They're going to work. They're going to put in that work and they're going to take you off the first time, or, hey, things weren't right in our situation the first time, or I had this going on, or I was finishing school or whatever. But let's do this. They not gonna keep throwing you back out into the water, little fishy. Like they gonna lock it down, and you would do the same thing. Like if you're the one in this situation that's kind of leading this ongoing thing, you are gonna be the one like, you're not gonna be back in these streets. You know what I mean? So like you'll rarely hear me tell a woman to break up with a guy. A lot of times, and a lot of times we're not in a relationship with the fog back guy anyway, but it's almost like maybe it's like a long-term situationship. Let's call it that. Like a situationship that just goes on over the course of several months or several years. But my thought is always the same. Is this what you think you deserve? So I'm going to leave you guys with that. As we end the year and just reflect on the men who keep coming back over and over, it's just time for you to decide to let that man fizzle out or try to make it work. But at the end of the day, a decision does need to be made. So leave that man alone or figure out where it's going next. We'll go ahead and wrap up the segment. Now it's time for the dating tip of the week. So the dating tip of the week is pick up the phone. So in the early stages of dating, miscommunication is a given, especially as you're just like getting to know someone. So like a lot of times, like trying to clear things up via text, via DMs, or whatever the case may be, it's just not really conducive, first of all, to clearing the air, but also to like getting a better understanding of that person. A lot of times misunderstandings are just that. Well, I didn't know that's what you meant, or I didn't know that you were joking, or it's just getting to know somebody. So, if you feel like, hey, we're not really like understanding each other right now, just pick up the damn phone and call the person. And it doesn't even have to be miscommunication. If you feel like y'all been texting for hours and hours, just pick up the phone and just be like, hey, I just wanted to hear your voice for a minute, So dating tip of the week, pick up the phone. All right, peeps, it is time for Down in the DMs. During this segment, I answer any questions that you guys may have thrown my way during the last week. Any advice that you need. This is where you guys send me in emails, DMs, text messages, whatever. If you specifically need advice on something and want to send in a letter to me, please email listentoyoursinglefriend@gmail.com and put Down in the DMs in the subject. So this week, I have two things. So I have been getting a lot of questions about this. Y'all keep asking me to do Clubhouse. So I think I'm going to schedule like a day and time to do it sometime next week. And we'll just go with it. We could call it a happy hour or whatever the case may be. I'm still trying to figure out like the parameters and the dynamic of Clubhouse. It seems like people just be like on there shooting the shit. So not really different than like Instagram Live, except it's more, I guess, podcasty because like, there's no visual or whatever. But I mean, I don't mind getting on there. I think it'll be a good chance to chit chat with you guys. So just keep a lookout for the socials. I'll probably pick someday. I'll have to look at the calendar, but I'll probably pick some day next week so we can go ahead and get on Clubhouse, because y'all keep asking me to do this. So I'm doing this for y'all. So to address that thing, we're going to do the Clubhouse thing. I'm just going to schedule like a date and time. I did get a message. Let me pull out my phone. I got a message from someone who wanted some advice. So I'm just going to read this to you guys. So she said, okay, wait, let me skip that part. She said, so I met this guy in Hawaii early January. He was a part of the Navy, and we met in the club, and all the vibes were cool. We were trying to link up while I was in Hawaii, but our plans never matched. And then all of a sudden, the last night I was there, he ghosted me. And then around February, started commenting on my IG story. And one day around March, I got my nails done. And my caption was, finally got these sick grabbers ready. He messaged me and said, you can grab mine. Okay. And I'm like, sir, I was trying to grab yours back in Hawaii, but you ghosted me. And he's like, I'm sorry, I was on the job and it just got busy. I really didn't mean to. The gag is, that same day, he posted a picture of his daughter, who turned out to be 3 months old. So in my head, I'm like, why are you lying? You ghosted me in Hawaii because your baby mama gave birth in January. And now you have a little girl and it's March. He's been persistently in my DMs trying to get with me. When he made the comment about my nails, I told him I'll keep him updated about coming to me, because I live in Pennsylvania and he lives in Jersey. But I was lying to him, because it's like, you have a whole kid who's 12 months now and you're trying to get vagina from me all of a sudden. But I wanted to ask him because he slid up on my IG stories again. Like usual, what is his intentions with me, and why does he persistently try and get with me? But I'm just not sure if that's a waste of time. So we're going to call her Zoe, because Grownish is about to come back on and I'm excited. So we're going to call her Zoe. Thank you, Zoe, for reaching out. I told her I would address this on the show. So it's a couple of things to break down here. And my biggest thing is, this has been going on for a year, and in the theme of the episode, like, shit or get off the pot. Like what are we doing right now? Like, I always say this, I hate being a what are we ass bitch, but what are we? Like, where's this going? But my whole thing, Zoe, is like, what do you want from this situation? Because he, in theory, baby about to be 1 year old next week, depending on when she was born. So it's like, he made it clear that he's supplying dick. Like, if you just want to smash, Pennsylvania, I'm on the East Coast. Like, Pennsylvania to Jersey is not, or Jersey to Pennsylvania, because he'll be coming to you. Depending on what part of Pennsylvania you're in, it's not that far away. Like, 1 hour to 3 or 4 hours. Like, that's a little weekend trip. He can come down on Friday after work and be out of there by Sunday. Like, I feel like you need to establish what you're looking for. Like, you're looking to figure out what his intentions are, but I think that you're focused on the wrong thing. What are your intentions, Zoe? Like, what do you want out of this situation? And if it's just sex, then do the damn thing. Tell him, you could pull up on me this weekend. Like, I've been on the naughty list, boo. Like, I need you to come through. Like, you can absolutely, just kind of put them on the carpet and just be like, so what's good? You coming through to bring it or not? But the fact that you're like asking about this, and that you're asking about what his intentions are, fuck that. Like, this man basically has it's not a newborn. How I don't know how long you consider a kid a newborn, but he basically has a newborn or whatever. Like, he's clearly on your line because he wants something. You wanting to know his intentions, to me, I feel like it sounds like you want a little bit something more. So you need to decide if this baby thing is going to be an issue for you, because like you said, he does have a 1-year old. I don't date men with children, um generally speaking, but particularly men with kids under like the age of 4 or 5. Like, men with young kids, that is still a situation that's very, very brand new, and it's very volatile, and everybody has that situation where they go back and they're like, oh well, I want to try and be a family for my kid. So I think that you need to kind of get a gist of what your expectations are in a situation. And if it's just sex, he has made that abundantly clear that that's what he's offering. Dick on a platter, okay? But if you want something more, which it sounds like you do, like, I just don't know if this is the right situation for that, because he does have, I'm just going to call her a newborn. He has a 12-month-old. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's not far for you guys to like see each other, because then that's another layer to it. Do you even want to do a long distance relationship? But my thing is, who gives a fuck about what his intentions are? The only thing that he's made clear is that his intentions are pipe. So he has that and he's offering that, and if you want that, go ahead. However, I think that you want something more, and I don't think that you should continue to entertain this situation if you do want something more, because I don't want you to put yourself in a situation where it's like you kind of know that some things are a concern for you, but you're going to ignore them because, well, he keeps, giving me attention. Like, men will keep hitting you up if you keep responding. I say that all the time. So I think you need to decide exactly what you want to do in this situation, and then you need to move accordingly. If you want a relationship from him, then you're going to have to adjust your expectations, because he does have a baby, and that's going to be a thing. And then you need to figure out if that's even what he's looking for. And we're not going to be negative about it. He could be looking for something legit with you, but that's something that you still need to explore. So I think first things first, you need to evaluate, what do I want, and then you need to go handle it accordingly from there. So, yeah, thank you so much for sending in this message. Again, if you have any questions, anybody that's listening, feel free to email us or DM the page, listentoyoursinglefriend@gmail.com. Now it's time for trivia. Ooh. I love trivia, and I say this every week, and I'm going to keep saying it. So if you're annoyed, you're going to be annoyed every week. So, trivia this week is, our research found that over 51% of people in relationships dated their partner for more than blank blank before they agreed to commit to one another. So, are the options 6 weeks, B, 3 months, C, 6 months, or D, 9 months? Over 51% of people in relationships, how long did they date their partner before they agreed to a commitment? You will have to find out on next week's episode. Tune in next week to find the answer. All right, guys, that is the end of the show. I just want to wish you guys happy holidays from your resident single friend. I am going to talk to you guys next week for episode 7, the final episode of this crazy ass year. But per usual, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share this show. Until next time. Hey, hey.